Hi everyone! This video will go over the payroll activity. In part 1, we will be calculating regular, overtime, and total earnings. So for employee number 1, they worked 80 regular hours and they had a regular rate of $9 per hour. So to calculate regular earnings, we're going to take the number of regular hours worked and multiply it times the regular rate. So if we take 80 regular hours and we multiply it times $9 per hour, that will give us $720 for regular earnings. Next up, for employee number 2, they worked 80 regular hours and they had a regular rate of $12.50 per hour. So if we take 80 regular hours and we multiply it times $12.50 per hour, that will give us $1,000. And for employee number 3, they worked 70 regular hours and they had a regular rate of $9.75 per hour. So if we take 70 regular hours worked and we multiply it times $9.75 per hour, that will give us $682.50. Next up, we're going to calculate overtime earnings. The way we do that is by taking the regular rate and multiplying it times 1.5. From there, we're going to multiply that number times the number of overtime hours worked. So for employee number 1, if we take the regular rate of $9 per hour and we multiply it times 1.5, and then we multiply 13.5 times the number of overtime hours worked, which are 5 hours, that will give us $67.50 for overtime earnings. Next up, for employee number 2, if we take $12.50 per hour and multiply it times 1.5, and then multiply 18.75 times the number of overtime hours worked, which are 3 hours, that will give us $56.25. Employee number 3 worked 0 overtime hours, so their overtime earnings are going to be 0. Lastly, to calculate total earnings, we are going to add the regular earnings and the overtime earnings. So if we take $720 and we add $67.50, that will give us $787.50 for total earnings. Next up, if we take $1,000 and we add $56.25, that will give us $1,056.25. And for employee number 3, their total earnings are $682.50. All right, so that is part 1. In part 2, we will be calculating total deductions and net pay for these two employees. First, to calculate total deductions, we are going to add federal tax, state tax, Social Security tax, Medicare, and health insurance. So for employee number 1, if we take $108.70 and we add $35.69 and then add $44.09, $10.31, and $49.37, that will give us $248.16. For employee number 2, we take $46.54 and add $20.06 and then add $25.55 and then add $5.97 and then add $27.19. That will give us $125.31. Now, to calculate net pay, we are going to take the gross pay and subtract the total deductions. So for employee number 1, if we take $712 and we subtract $248.16, that will give us $463.84. And for employee number 2, if we take $412 and we subtract $125.31, that will give us $286.69. All right, so that is the end of the payroll activity. Thanks for watching this video, and have a great day.